name is Michael Gershkovich. At work, they call me Chef Mike. I'm the chef proprietor of Mike's Bistro in Manhattan. I live with my family in Englewood, New Jersey, and it's a beautiful place. But sometimes, I need to get away. I need a change of scenery to relax and to be inspired. Please join me on my fun weekend. We all love schnitzel. We love the crispiness, we love the meat, we love the fact that it's self-contained, we love the fact that it's accessible, it cooks quickly. We love the nostalgia of it. But something that we don't see enough of is using the egg as a crust as opposed to breadcrumbs. Before we get to the schnitzel, or I should say, egg-battered veal scallopini, I want to talk about the dressing, the garnish, the sauce that we're going to serve it with. Today, we're going to be doing a blood orange, mint, and caper vinaigrette. Vinaigrette is always something acidic, something rich and fatty to balance. Let's start with blood orange. Blood orange is a lot more tart, and it lends itself very nicely to a vinaigrette because of its acidity and its ability to be balanced with oil. So let's get started with that. I always like to put something that I can beat up the citrus a little bit. And don't worry about getting bits in it. The bits are, there's nothing wrong with those little bits, you know? In this particular application, since we're frying and we're eating rich foods, I want something that's really zesty and lively because it's gonna need to balance with the breaded veal, or I should say the egg battered veal. Let's cut just a little bit of garlic into it, just a drop. You see how fine I'm cutting that? I don't even want anybody to notice that it goes into their mouth. I want it to just be there. And look how much I'm using. Just a drop. Just a drop. You see? I even lost a little. Now, this is a caper vinaigrette after all. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm just gonna chop up a few capers. By the way, these are large capers that I've rinsed thoroughly because I don't want them to be like, they're always going to be salty, but I don't need to feel like I'm eating a literal salt block. That's not enjoyable. And when I consider the seasoning of this vinaigrette, I have to include the fact that this caper is already salted, so I'm not going to add any more salt to this. We're not going to put in our mint until the end because the mint will be more delicious when it's added at the last possible minute. But I am going to prepare it. Unlike parsley and cilantro, mint does not like to have its stem used. They call this a chiffonade. See, even though it's chopped up, you see how green it still is? It's very important to maintain that. Another thing I want to make as a garnish to this caper vinaigrette is I want to fry some capers. The caper is a blossom. It's a flower. And when I fry it, it'll open up, it'll be crispy, and it'll make a beautiful garnish. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. Now this is gonna splatter a bit, so just be aware. Squeeze out all the excess water. You ready? When you're cooking something that splatters, make sure to protect your eyes. That's why I wear a hat. You see them opening up right now? You could actually see the blossoms opening. When the noise gets quieter, I know that it's almost done, because that means there's very little water left. And when there's no water, there's crispness. The absence of water makes things crisp. And the noise that you're hearing is water that's boiling in the oil, and that's why it's making that noise. If you go too far on these, they'll be bitter, and instead of enhancing your dish, all they're gonna do is make it bitter. We're gonna use that same oil to cook our veal soon, so there's no reason to dispose of that. Furthermore, we may use this oil to finish this vinaigrette. So I have everything I need right now. I have my blood orange, my capers, my mint is already cut. I'm ready to go on this dish. We have the base of our vinaigrette ready to go, and now it's time to take this thin veal and prepare it for batter and cooking. Normally we use flour. The purpose of this starch and the flour in general is not really a big flavor element. It's more about coating the outside of the meat so that the egg adheres to it. So I'm just gonna take some potato starch, I'm gonna put it on a plate and just spread it out. Now, in my experience, veal, kosher veal, tends to be a little bit salty. So I would hold off on any salt application here. But that doesn't mean that a little black pepper wouldn't benefit. So I'm gonna put a little black pepper on there. I'm gonna make sure my pan is hot with oil. I'm gonna dredge the veal like this. It becomes very manageable, and I don't want excess. I want just the right amount. I'm gonna shake off any excess, but the outside is completely dry. You see how that's sliding in my hands? That's the correct feel. And I'm gonna put that right into the egg batter. Look at the thinness of this veal. I picked this up at the butcher shop. It's just simple veal scallopini. You can use expensive cuts, inexpensive cuts. It all comes down to pounding it out and making it tender. And look at that. Look how easy it is to handle. It's a joy. Potato starch is not a bad product. It's not always about flour. Potato starch is completely acceptable in this application. And it's also gluten-free, which is a big concern these days. So it goes from the potato starch into the egg batter, and it can live in the egg batter until I'm ready to cook it. See how the egg perfectly adheres itself like a crust? Let's fry some eggs. How long do you think it's gonna take to cook this veal? Maybe 30 seconds? I'm more concerned about cooking the egg almost. This is gonna work really quickly. And obviously, it's best to eat food fresh. Fresh food is always gonna be better than food that waited. So, best case scenario, you have everything ready to go, everybody's waiting to eat, and you fry that veal and they sit down and eat it. That's the best way. I have a very hot pan. I don't have too much oil. It just covers the bottom of the pan. It's hot, it's probably around 375 degrees, and I have my dish that I'm ready to serve on, but I also have a rack. You see this? This is a rack. So when it comes out of the oil, it drains. It's not about paper towels all the time. Sometimes it's just about letting things drain. I think we're ready to go. And I'm gonna start by just picking that up. Carefully, this splatters. You see how the egg is solidifying and creating a crust? Look at that. You want to get a little browning in this situation. This is not something that you want to be light. You want it to brown a bit. You want to add a little bit of extra flavor while it's frying. You could be a hero and throw in a couple of cloves of garlic so that flavor can come through. Okay, that's one side done. Flip over. Look how lovely that looks. It's been about 30 seconds since I started cooking this veal. I would say in another 30 seconds it'll be completely cooked through. It doesn't take long for a piece of meat that thick to cook. What is cooking? Cooking is just about applying heat. When that piece of veal is hot on the inside, it's cooked. And because it's been pounded, and because it's been tenderized, you don't have to worry about anything else. I'm gonna take that, I'm gonna let that drain on a rack. Now I'm gonna finish the vinaigrette. I'm gonna take a little bit of the oil from the frying. I'm also gonna introduce a wonderful product that's lemon-flavored extra virgin olive oil, which will add another level of aroma to this dish. And you see I'm using the fat that I cooked it in. I'm just gonna give that a quick little stir. Vinaigrette. It's a broken vinaigrette. I'm gonna put some of that mint. Veal is ready to be served. Right on the plate. Take one, give them a second one, whoever's enjoying it. And we're just gonna spoon this beautiful blood orange vinaigrette all over the place. With all its goodness and all the capers that are around in it, giving that saline flavor. We're gonna garnish it with what we put in it. We're gonna take those crispy capers and put them on top. We're gonna show the blood orange. And we have that beautiful little garlic that we just sauteed right on top. Buon appetito. I don't know what culture this is from, but I know that this is the kind of food that's been eaten for many, many centuries. Enjoy in good health.